Well, hey girlfriend, welcome into my craft room. Friends, today we are going to be making some new projects. The theme of this month, lots of new fun things for my Crafttober. I've said it in the past 2 videos, but if you missed it, don't forget to go back and watch the previous videos down in my channel gallery. I will link it at the end of this video and up here in the iCards. I did an update video where I'm doing something called Crafttober. So today for Crafttober, we are going to be making 3 crafts, and they are large in size. Well, 2 of them are. One's an itty bitty, but I like a little itty bitty sometimes because they're just the cutest things to put on a tiered tray or, you know, just on a little shelf. It's just so cute. Let's look at, can you see that? It's sliding in a little bit like a shark. This one is the first we're going to do. It is so big in size and it is so fun to make. Easy too, easy. Let's see what the supplies are because I loved making this one. For these supplies, we're going to be using 2 of these orange wired baskets I found painted orange in the home section, this wood log from outside that I have from my yard, 4 zip ties, and then any fabric of your liking. We're also going to be using a 2-inch wood round. You can see it right there on my table. And we're going to drill into this wood log. Now I'm keeping my hand far back. I'm keeping my drill leaning onto the table so I don't have any loss of control. And I'm taking my time just drilling through the wood log. I'm now going to take my Craftober, punch a simple hole in it, and then I'm going to add some hot glue and work quickly because I don't want my glue to dry. I added the hot glue. I'm bringing on the wood log. I put in a screw into that hole, into the wood round, and then I'm going to screw it all together, locking it in place. Now you don't want it to be too tight where the wire is not going to be between the log and the wood round. We're locking it into place so that it has a nice hold. I can't stand making projects where they just fall apart, like there's a top or stem, someone picks it up and then poop, it just comes right off. I don't like making projects like that. I like making things that are going to last, which is why I decided to bring out my drill for this project. Now I'm going to really lock it in, that it's screwed in place, and I'm going to add on lots of hot glue over the wire onto the wood round. This is going to make sure this stem never falls off on you. We like to make quality projects here in my studio because I just am a believer when you make it long term, then it just looks high end. Now, while the glue is hot, I'm adding moss all over the top of it, a whole bunch, and I pull away the excess I don't want. Then we're going to flip it over and add glue onto the wood round, and then I'm going to tap the fabric in at the top so it helps conceal that wood round on the bottom side so you don't see it. And then I'm going to add my fabric in, and you can add in whatever fabric you want. I do regret not adding a little bit more white burlap into the pumpkin. I wish I had filled it a little bit more, but there's a whole bunch of holes in it, so if you decide to add more fabric, you can always go back in and add more. But this is so fun because you can pick whatever fabric you want inside the pumpkin, and it really dresses up this wire basket. Now I'm going to take 4 zip ties, and on the counter opposites, 4 sides, I'm going to zip it together. And then I want to conceal those zip ties. I don't want to see them, and I also didn't want to get out my paint this day. You could definitely paint them, but I've decided I really like the idea of taking twine, wrapping it around. You could also use yarn. You could use yarn. You could use a berry garland. You could use a whole bunch of different things. I'm going to wrap my twine all around the zip tie to conceal it. Once I've gone around enough times and I like the way that it looks, I can't see that black zip tie, I'm going to go ahead and tie a double knot. I want to leave the tails on that double knot, the leftover of the twine, just a little bit long to make a thicker bow with thicker stems. And then I'm going to do a darling bow, and I'm going to glue that right on. And I'm doing this to all 4 sides of these zip ties, and the finished look It's such a large decor piece and it's so easy to make and so darling for the fall season. Wasn't that pumpkin so fun? And it's just out of the wire baskets that they have at the Dollar Tree in their organization home section. Super cute, super fast, and you could put whatever fabric, I probably said it, but you could put whatever fabric you want inside of it. Hey, if you haven't yet, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It always helps out my channel. All right, we're on to the next one. Look at that sign. This is one of the new Dollar Tree signs. If you have not gotten over there, they have some of the cutest signs at the Dollar Tree. I want to make sure the lighting is good on it. Look at how big that is from the top of my head down here to mid-chest. This is so easy to make and it is so beautiful to put on an entry table in a bathroom. I could see this being on a bathroom counter as well. The color is so fun and bright. Listen, I like modern stuff. You know, the black, the white, the tan, the wood grains, I do. But it's fall. We should be making cute fall things with orange. By the way, that's my favorite color. But we should be making fun things for the fall season using color because why not? I like to have a house that's very neutral. I've got tans, white, black, cream, wood, you know, those kind of colors. But then when the seasons come around, you better believe I'm bringing an orange because why not? It's so fun. I fell in love with this sign at the Dollar Tree. I love that it had chocolate brown glitter. I thought that was so pretty. A very vintage look. I'm going to bring in some foam, some of these cute wood boxes, this gorgeous ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. All these are from the Dollar Tree. Some craft sticks, and then I'm going to bring in some white bobo hydrangea floral picks from the Dollar Tree. I feel like the white, or it's like ivory cream, I feel like the contrast with all the bright orange is going to look so pretty. Now I popped off the back of the hanging tag on the sign. I'm bringing these two boxes together with some hot glue, adding some hot glue in the boxes, and I already pre-cut down this foam, but it's one of the foam blocks from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue that right down inside the box. I want this sign to be able to stand up vertically. So I'm taking those craft sticks and I'm going to glue them onto the back of the sign. I'm going to make sure I get the measurement right of how long and how high I want this to be. I will say I do regret cutting off a little bit too much, so make sure you double check before you cut. And then push that down into the foam. Add in lots of hot glue to really stabilize that sign so it stands up nice and tall and straight. And I definitely pulled the sign back out, added some in the holes, and then put the sticks back down into the foam. And now we're going to conceal the box with that beautiful ribbon, and it's a great way to bring in some pattern. I'm making the ribbon be flush to the table, so there's a little bit of an overhang at the top of the box, so I don't have to paint the box. I can just conceal it with the ribbon. I'm going to pull back that little bit of that lip on the ribbon and the box, put a little bit of glue and pull it over, and now you can't even see the box. And it has such a store finish. It looks so nice once we put the florals in. I went all the way around the box. When I got to the other side, I went ahead and glued the rest of it down, but again, I like to have a nice finish. I'm going to fold under the ribbon so it doesn't look frayed. And then I'm going to add my glue, pulling it nice and tight. I don't want to put too much glue where it's coming out all over the place, enough that it sticks well, but it doesn't bleed through or spill out. And then I'm going to clean up that last. I'm going to add a little bit of glue right onto the ribbon, fold it, tuck it under, and glue it in place. You could also put a little button on the back so it looks like a little shirt. That could be super cute. I wish I had done that. Why didn't I do that when I was making this? I'm not sure, but that would have been very cute. Now let's bring in those beautiful cream Bobo hydrangea florals. At least that's what I think this is. They look like hydrangeas, but they don't look like typical hydrangeas. I think they're Bobo hydrangeas. I'm going to trim those all down to size, and I'm going to really fill in this box. I think I used 2.5 picks. I think that's about what I used. And I'm just going to fill it in until I like the way that looks. And the contrast of the cream with the orange is so pretty. Now it's time for the little itty bitty. Ta-da! I love this little project, and honestly, friends, this can be made with scraps. Just scraps that you probably have sitting on your craft table right now. Those honestly are some of my favorite projects to make every single time, because we all have little florals left over from things that we've made, or little wood pieces, and when you just turn them in to something all together, give yourself a challenge. Random things that are sitting on your table, try to turn them into something, because these were all random things I had sitting on my table, and I thought, I'm going to turn that into something, and I did. I had all of these random pieces sitting on my craft table, and I thought, I'm going to bring them all together, these little scraps, and make them into something so darling. I have this wood plank, this little metal handle I get from Amazon. I'll link it in my description box. Some leftover fall florals. And I'm going to stain this wood plank. I want to give it a vintage rustic look to it. Where something that when you think of Apothecary, you think of all kinds of florals, especially going into the fall season. I thought this would look so pretty if we stained it a nice dark color. And then I'm going to come on with some white paint. I did about 2 layers, 3 layers, I can't remember. But I wanted to make sure the white was nice and strong on it. And I did do a little bit sanding. I forgot to show that part, but not too much. Just enough just to like make the edges look kind of faded so it looks old and vintage. I marked my holes for my handle, got out my Craftober, punched my 2 holes. And then to put the handle on, you could just glue it in place, but I really like to make things that are sustainable here in my craft room. So I'm going to add on some of these tiny little brads that I had on hand. And then I'm going to just pop those into the holes, flip it over, and then open up the brad legs and glue them in place. This is going to really lock it in so that it doesn't have any issues with it coming loose or falling off over time. Now, once that was all locked into place, I can move on to my little tiny florals that I just didn't want to throw away. We have a lot of stuff like this in our craft rooms, do we not? Where we're like, I don't want to throw that away, I'll use it for something. And then it just goes into a tub and we never use it. So whenever I'm working on projects, I always like to try to make something like this where I have just these little pieces. Instead of just sticking in a box, let me just do one more project. It'll take me like 10 minutes to make it and I have something beautiful. I can give it away as a gift. I can use it for decor in my home, whatever I would like. Now I binded all of those florals together with some twine, cut off the extra. And then to really finish the look, I love these garden tags. If you've been here for a while, you know that I was obsessed with these for years. I am going to add one of those on because it gives it that apothecary look, which is so pretty. And that's it. Super easy, made from scraps, cost me basically nothing. That is it for today. I hope you felt inspired. I really do. I want you to know how important it is to be creative. It is so easy to get wrapped up in the hustle of to-do lists, running around, trying to make everybody happy. But we have to take time to stop, unwind, and do something for ourselves too. It is not selfish to want to do something for you. Yes, sometimes we have to schedule it in, and sometimes it's a little complicated to find those moments. And honestly, I think this is the reason why crafters are usually night owls, because we get to stay up super late and we get to craft because everybody's in bed, and we get our chocolate out and maybe some popcorn, and we turn on a Hallmark movie, and then we just decompress and play with paint and play with chalk and play with whatever, you know. It's just so fun making things in our craft spaces. So friends, I hope you get a chance to be in your craft room. Now friends, before we say goodbye, I want to give a shout out to some of my fellow crafting friends who submitted their artwork. It is so important to share other people's work. I love seeing what you all make. Don't forget, email me. Email me. The information's right above at the top of the comments. My email's there, how to title the email, so I can find your artwork and I can give you a shout out here in these videos in the month of October, because I feel that your projects are just as important as mine. How come I get all the spotlights? You should be able to share your stuff too. Our very first spotlight for Crafttober is Sherry Hicks. I loved this project. If you remember, this is a project I did about a year ago, and she did her version of it. I love the fabric. It looks like it's fabric that you used on your pumpkin. So darling. This project is beautiful. I don't know where you got this idea, if you dreamt it up, but I loved the additional pine cone pieces you added at the top and the bow. This, I can tell that this is a large front door wreath. I love the texture that you have on it with the ribbons and the sunflowers. And then when I saw this, Sherry, I was so excited because I just made this from a video about a week or two ago, and you already tried it out. It's so beautiful. I love the fabrics that you picked, and I love the farmhouse touch. And then I had to put this one in there, even though it's not fall, but Christmas is just around the corner. Look at this darling upcycle of this glass bottle. Sherry, thank you for sharing your projects with us today. It was so fun being able to see your work inside your craft room. So don't forget to email me 5 of your best favorite projects that you've done this year, so that way I can give you a shout out here on my channel. That is the end of today's episode. I hope you felt inspired. Give these big projects and the itty bitty a try. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and go back and check my channel gallery just in case you missed any videos for this month of Crafttober. And until the next episode, bye friends.